Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Alex. That was the most customer service intro I've done since I made my first video, and I can't fix it. I thought today we'd talk about music. Most of the people I know, at some point in their writing process, will listen to music while they're working. Some while they're writing, some while they're editing, some when they're just doing the rereads. At some point, music plays a part in the writing process. Now, obviously, not for everyone, and most of this is my opinion because music is one of those subjective topics. But I thought I'd go through a couple of types, genres of music, give my opinions and thoughts on them in relation to writing. Pros, cons, that kind of thing. Again, my opinions. And there are some genres that I won't touch just because I don't listen to them at all, and I am not, under no circumstance in any of this am I really qualified to say anything about music because I just listen to it. So the first music I'd like to talk about is classic instrumental. One of the things I keep hearing come up as a bonus to really instrumental in general, but instrumental has no words. Obviously, it's instrumental. But because it has no words, you were less likely to be distracted by it because there's nothing really to concentrate on other than the music. Classic instrumental is really easy to get a hold of. YouTube, Google, you could just Google it and there's most of it. Not all of it, but most of it's probably open, public domain by now. So it's not difficult to get a hold of Beethoven, Tchaikovsky, Chopin, whoever. There's a couple. Those are the three that I know. So it's really easy to get a hold of if you want to listen to it. In my opinion, there isn't a lot of variety in it. Yes, there's some obvious differences between, say, Brahms and I'm going to go with Tchaikovsky because that's the one I know. There's a difference between there. There's a reason why some of the most famous is Brahms' Lullaby. It's got that sort of feel to it. But because they use a lot of the same instruments, because a lot of it was in the same field, it holds very similar sounds to it. So after a while, a lot of it might kind of blend into each other. For you, that might be a good thing. Then it really does become just background. The other option for instrumental is soundtrack instrumental. So you're looking at instrumental that comes from movies, shows, whatever. Again, no words, less distraction. This can be semi-easy to find. A lot of modern soundtracks are actually vocal tracks. I don't know for sure, but to me it almost seems like the instrumental soundtracks are kind of fading out a little bit from movie soundtracks. So they might be slightly more difficult to find. Definitely your older movies will have them. You will find, in my opinion, you find more of a variance in that sound. Going from if the soundtrack was from a fantasy movie versus a superhero movie versus mob movie. They make that music then fit the genre of movie versus technical genre. Personally, between the two, I actually would lean more into soundtrack instrumental. That's me. I've always had a thing for soundtracks for movies anyway. The next type of music is pop. Pop is one of those where I don't know that it necessarily is what it was, and that doesn't make sense, I'm sure, but because pop used to mean popular, and then it became kind of synonymous with what I grew up on, which was the bubblegum pop, which was like industry created popular groups. Kids of the 90s, you know what I mean. Most of our groups that we really liked were created for fitting in that Redbubble. Pop music, generally considered very energetic, very uplifting generally. I mean, they had their slow, sad songs, but it was generally that very upbeat, what you'd enjoy on the radio sound. There's words. So if you have a problem focusing with words, that could be an issue. Depending on the era you're pulling the pop music from, there can be a lot of variance in it. I have found that personally, I don't like the current style of pop. I still kind of like what I grew up on, which was, I'll never say it was good, but I still like it. But the thing is, because it is the popular music, it's what you find on the radio or whatever, it's really easy to get a hold of. You can literally just turn on the radio or find a chart of the top whatever right now. It is super accessible. I personally kind of think it's really well suited if you're writing more like your, I don't want to say your high school, because obviously some of us still listen to it. A lot of us do. But it might not be the best thing to listen to if you're planning or writing a violent scene. It's been done, but it's a bit of a dissonance. The next style of music is rock music. Now, I find even in slower songs, they tend to have a rather driving rhythm. It's energetic. There is a lot of variance in rock music. That is a cat. Hello, kitty. Again, there are words, so that might be a distraction for you. But that being said, it's very easy to get a hold of. And if you have a scene that's a little rougher, it might be appropriate to listen to. Or if you just happen to like it and that's inspiring for you, which should really go for any of these, is if you find that music inspiring, it'll work probably. Next, and this is one that I actually listen to a lot while I'm writing. Celtic music. This can be either very calm or very energetic. I know plenty of songs in this genre that have a very driving rhythm, heavy on the drums. They tend to sound a bit more like the war rebellion songs. They can either have words or not. Now, writing in the favor of the words is that some of them do sing in either Scottish or Irish Gaelic. So if you don't know the language, it's just more to the music and less something your brain recognizes and can focus on. Is very easy to come by. There is so much variance in what you can find in the styles of it. There's even like crossover variants of it where it's like Celtic rock, Celtic folk, which I've never heard it, at least that I'm aware of, so I can't speak on it. Depending on who you listen to, if you find a particular style you like, it can kind of bleed together like classical music can, especially if you're looking at a lot of groups that do very traditional sounding music, because it all kind of has a similar instrumental grouping. There's a lot of similar beat styles they use, especially if you get into like music with bodhráns, or I find a lot of reels tend to sound the same. That's probably a good thing if you want it in the background. The final style of music that I want to talk about is actually one I write to 98% of the time, and that's K-pop. I think I've mentioned the fact that I listen to this a few times. It does have words, obviously. Again, much like the Celtic, if you don't know Korean, it will kind of just feed into more background sound. If you are starting to learn it, which is actually where I fall, I can pick up certain words where I'll go, oh, my brain will go, oh, that's the word for this. But whatever it doesn't understand, it just kind of lets go unless I'm actively trying to listen. So it can still kind of blend into that background. The energy levels vary. There are plenty of very slow, kind of sad songs. And then there are many, many very high energy songs. You will probably find something that fits whatever you're writing at the time. I would say right now it's pretty easy to find if you go on YouTube. There might be some online radio stations that are playing it. I just tend to buy it through like Google Play, or I'll find it. I have a playlist on my channel that is just all the K-pop songs I listen to. There are some J and C pop in there too, but so I just make a playlist of them on YouTube and let it play in the background. Even if you stick with an individual group, there will be variances in the songs. Like their title tracks will probably have similar components, but if you go like through a whole album, you'll have a lot of variants. And then even what I've noticed with K-pop is that the industry goes through waves of style. So once something becomes popular, say like an anthem style song becomes popular, everyone for like 3 or 4 months will put out an anthem style song. And then it'll change into whatever the next trend is. That was the word I was looking for. Depending on what time you're looking into the songs, they may all kind of sound similar, but as a whole, it actually has a lot of variance. The trends, in my opinion, in K-pop tend to flip over pretty quickly because they know that once something catches, it'll just kind of filter down, and they want to stay ahead. Even within an album, even if they have that one popular song or one popular style, then you'll probably see a couple of really peppy songs and then some of the slower songs. So you'll get a variance either way. It just depends on how deep you look into, say, a group or whatever. That was some of the music that I listened to while writing. That was hopefully helpful if you're trying to figure out something you can listen to while you're working, writing, whatever. If I can, I will attach somehow my K-pop list, which is actually, if you just go under my playlist, I think it's available for everyone then just as chores music, because that's what it started out as. But if I can, I'll link it somewhere if you want to listen to what's in there. There is a lot because I keep adding to it. Let me know, what do you guys like to listen to while you're writing? What do you like to listen to when you're just working on things? Is there a style of music that you find to be super helpful? Thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!